you're doing well and are having a flare-free day. I have been getting into a wonderful morning routine so far for September, and I say September, but it's almost over, so I'm hoping this continues into October. I've been setting up morning incense, and I use a sandalwood scent for myself. I've also been doing some morning walks with Cooper. I know myself, like with fall and autumn here now where I live, I just need that morning time in fresh air, really immersing myself into nature and just decluttering my brain. And so that kind of leads me into what I want to talk about with you this morning. It's part chronic illness support for me. It's also just another bucket of like getting more tools in my toolbox when it comes to my anxiety and a little bit of sadness that I feel, and especially around the season changes. I wanted to talk about my therapy journey and how that's been going, and how I'm doing something a little bit unique with it. And I'm curious if you've ever heard of this type of therapy or are in it yourself or have tried it in the past and what you thought of it. I have done therapy in the past. I've done it postpartum. She was wonderful and amazing and so supportive. And like, I know how that is rare to say when you're first matched up with a therapist, because it can take some time to get used to each other and see if they fit you and your needs. It was very helpful in that like chapter book of mine. Sometimes I get into the motion of like, I no longer need therapy because I feel good. And then I get into like a dip where I'm like, I should have stuck with therapy, because during this dip, I would have had someone I could turn to that was external from friends or family or whatever. With my type of insurance, I had a certain amount of coverage, but not all. And that was kind of a factor too financially of, can I stick with therapy? I have recognized that I'm in a spot now where like, I need to get the tools in my toolbox to like help me navigate my anxiety, my A-type, like I need everything to be perfect, my chronic illness trauma. I'm just bottling so much up, and it's becoming a layered onion where I don't know how to address certain things that have happened years ago. I was a little bit more interested in something unique and something that was a little bit different. And my friend has done EMDR, which is an acronym for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. I know that's like a huge mouthful. There's traumas in life that are so deeply woven within the fabric of ourselves and our like in our body, and obviously body holds stories and tension and pain and all of that. So if you've never heard about it before, that is okay, because I am new to the whole EMDR like story and experience as well. And I want to share what I've been doing so far with it, because I've only had 2 sessions. So I'm very fresh with the EMDR journey. When we go through something that is painful or traumatic, sometimes our brain has difficulty processing that experience. When we think of memories, the way that my therapist has described it is like we have a beginning, middle, and end to that specific memory. When it comes to a traumatic memory, sometimes there's no end because we are still living through it. Sometimes, again, with those triggers, it can like pop up and there's no real end to it. Sometimes with that traumatic experience and that memory, it can feel stuck, almost frozen in time within our body. And that's why trauma in this experience can like be so overwhelming for people. And some people on the outside might seem like that happened years ago, or like you've been in therapy for that. But trauma is unique and complicated in itself. And so EMDR is a type of therapy that helps to address that traumatic experience that you may or may not remember, and helps you go through that and process it so that you no longer feel that emotional sting with it. EMDR helps with like bilateral stimulation. This is where I was like, is this hokey pokey kind of stuff? Like, I don't know what you're talking about here, when my friend was describing the actual activity that you go through with EMDR. But when it comes to bilateral stimulation, it's basically you're trying to like stimulate both sides of your brain. And that can come with like eye movements, either left or right or like diagonally. It can come with tapping. So in my sessions, we are going to focus on the tapping sensation. It can also be on your legs if you want to tap your legs. That activity or that movement is done while you are talking out loud about that experience that has left a traumatic mark on you. Your brain is being gently activated to sort of refile that memory. Ultimately, that helps your brain know how to store that memory properly. Over time, that traumatic memory or that experience experience will start to feel more neutral. So for an example, it would be like, today I woke up, I got coffee, I showered, I went for a walk with Cooper. When you're recalling that memory, it'll be like that when you're talking about it. Making it no longer something that your body is constantly reliving, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. There is a lot of background to it and a lot of setup that needs to happen in order to like dive fully into the EMDR experience. There's a lot of history taking before we even dive into the hardest memories. My therapist has been taking a lot of time in the past 2 sessions at least, like building a sense of safety, teaching grounding tools for me, making sure that I have like proper anchors so that when we refer to a triggering memory coming up, I have an anchor to return to feel safe and to feel supported and like anchored in the moment. I am not being swept away with that memory again. She has outlined that sometimes it can take like weeks or months to run through a personal history. One of the ones I'm happy to share is like bullying. That's one of my threads that has been a constant one for me. It was a long-term thing like growing up, and that's a line or a thread that is part of my traumatic experiences in life that I'm still holding on to and has had an impact on me that we are going to work to address with like the EMDR. She has identified 4 for me. And so we're going to navigate through all of those 4. And I'm excited to dive in and really get to a place where I no longer feel like an internal weight, I guess is the best word. Like I'm picturing like a pole down like the center of me that's been there for so long and it's like held me in place, but that pole, I just want to get it out of me and like feel less heavy and less anxious. Have these experiences that have made me who I am today, but have a way to address it, refile them in my brain where I'm not like emotionally charged by them. And so yeah, that is my experience with EMDR and what I know about it at face value. We haven't fully dove into the process because we're still doing the history taking. I feel safe with her. And obviously it's a therapy that is unique and different and may not suit everybody. So if you're hearing me talk about it and you're like, no, like that is totally fine and okay too. I just wanted to share my experience with you because when it comes to my chronic illness, it's obviously had an impact on me on the way that I experienced trauma and gaslighting and all of that. And it's not a whole part of my story. There's a lot more that I'm going to dive into with this therapist, but I just wanted to be open with it because if there's any techniques that are unique or different or something a little bit like you haven't heard before, but it would help you in your journey, that is why I'm here to like help support you in your journey, help you navigate it. And just like I feel it in my bones, I just want to help be open because being open with my endo journey in the first place has allowed me to meet all of you and build this community. And that was all due to openness. And so if I'm open about my EMDR experience and my type of therapy, then I hope that it'll help you in some way navigate parts of your journey that you're trying to get through as well. Thank you for allowing me to be open with all these different healing paths that I'm taking. And obviously it might seem a little unique, but I am at the stage where I just want to be a better version of myself. I want to be better for my daughter, my partner, my family, my everything, and better for me because I put a lot of pressure on myself and it's sometimes tricky to know how to like navigate that on your own. And I want to come on here and say, you are deserving of support and therapy and navigating this wild, crazy life together. And especially with the news as it is today. And I don't want to like dwell on it too much, but I probably should because it is important to talk about, but that's another piece that I'm trying to navigate. But know that you are not alone with feeling that heaviness. And I'm going to put resources in the description box below for you if you're ever looking for additional voices to hear you out. And when it comes to the financial piece, I wanted to talk about this too because I mentioned it briefly just now. But when I started my new job, I was able to tap into additional insurance when it comes to my therapy. If you have insurance, check what is covered when it comes to therapy. I know the Canadian Mental Health Association here in Canada, which I'll link down below as well. They have a ton of amazing resources that could help you or a loved one you may want to tap into in the Canadian context. All of that being said, I'm going to do some work, make some lunch, and connect with you later on today to see how the rest of the day goes.